Nicole here. Today we're going to be talking with Ashley Hawthorne about her book Deliver Me, which I enjoyed pretty well. Let's talk to her. But first, of course, we have to do our costume reveal. So, ready?
All right, 3, 2, 1.
You look so pretty.
I'm a pretty princess. Look, I even
I
dyed the
love
bottom
it.
of my hair white. The bottom is white.
Oh, I love it.
Little peekaboo. I don't know. Have you ever wanted to be a princess?
Always. I always wanted to be a princess.
Okay, all right. That's all that matters. We can all be princesses.
I want the tiara, but also the big fancy dress. I mean, I live in sweatpants, but see, that's so pretty.
I'm gonna shake a tail feather now. All right, so costume reveal over. We're going to pause everyone else, and you're gonna have to watch me get naked for a hot minute so I can dress like a normal person when we do our interview.
Okay.
All right? All right.
Yep.
Pause for everyone else. Ta-da! I'm human again. I mean, not princess again. Just plain old poor me.
I like that shirt though.
Thanks. It goes well with my new hair.
It does. I like your hair.
Thank you.
It's a good color.
Right. So for everyone who's coming to join us today, we're here to talk about Ashley's Deliver Me, which I was reading on my Kindle, and I binged. Like, it took me less than 24 hours to read this book because I enjoyed it so much. So for those of you who don't know the premise, who haven't gotten to read the book yet, highly recommend. Ashley, do you mind telling us a little bit about it?
Yeah. Deliver Me is about a pastor's daughter who falls in love with her prison pen pal, and then has to proceed to try to get her prison pen pal to be, out of prison so that they can be together.
I love how gruff he is in the beginning. Like, he is so, not into this pen pal thing.
Not at all. She is very persistent.
Yeah, she's a church girl, and I've noticed something about, the church girls that I've known is they're just like, I can make this happen.
Right. She's definitely going into this with an I can fix him attitude.
Yeah.
Before she ever even has, romantic feelings where she's like, he hates me, but that's fine. I can deal with that.
Who doesn't try to deal with a man who hates them every now and then? I mean, that's how half my relationship started. It's just like, you think you don't like me, but you just wait. You just wait. And then I will spend 2 years on you while you still hate me before I decide to leave your ass. That's
right.
Except for my marriage. That's like every one of my relationships in a nutshell. So what made you to decide to start writing romance?
I've always loved romance. I have, from the time I was old enough to start stealing my mom's romance novels, I have been a romance girly. And that was what I always wanted to write. I just didn't think that I could write. I didn't know how to do it. At school, academic type writing, that I could do. But to take and make a fiction story, I had no idea where to begin. And then, the Star Wars fiasco happened, and that third movie just ripped the heart out of me. And I went running straight to online fandom to soothe my broken heart. And once I started getting involved in fandom and being around other writers, they taught me how to make that transition to fiction writing, and that was the only thing I wanted to write was romance.
And this is traditionally published, right? It's through a publishing house as opposed to self published.
Yeah, it's a small press, but it is through a publisher.
How did you go about doing that and building that relationship with because I know so many of us are like, let's find an agent or let's find a small publisher. Just kidding, I'm going to publish it myself because this takes too goddamn long.
It does take a long time, and I did start out looking for an agent, and I think I got something like 65 rejections. And the last one that came in was actually on an agent that had a full, and she was like, I love the book. I don't know how I'm going to sell it because of the subject matter. It's difficult to find somebody who in the bigger publishing houses is going to be willing to sort of take a risk on this. So I started looking at small presses because they have more wiggle room. If the small press likes it, they don't have to try to convince anybody else. they just publish it, and that was what happened. I found one that's, that specifically said, we like darker stories. I sent off my materials, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So,
dude, you get tenacity points because on my door I've got like pinned rejections. I stopped at 7. I was like, F this S. I'm gonna do it myself because ain't nobody got time for that.
see,
Now,
but I think you get the tenacity points because part of the reason that I was so stubborn about finding someone to publish it for me is because I had looked into everything that I would need to do or learn how to do to self-publish, and I was like, I am not doing all of that. I'm not going to be, worrying about the cover and the marketing and all. I'm not capable, nor do I want to learn how to do all of that stuff. I hand
you
that
might
line
give
to
me
someone else.
credit for you're giving me credit for shit I'm not actually doing. I'm just like, oh, marketing. I'm gonna tweet about that on a platform nobody cares about. I refuse to call it X. It will be Twitter
Yeah,
until
it's Twitter.
until it's
It's
dead.
Twitter.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally understand that because it's nice to have an actual business backing you because not all of us are business people. It is owning your own business, and
Yeah.
when you only do a certain amount, you're not doing great at business. I just hit my 300th book for my sold for my first book. And I'm
That's
like,
good.
300, but like I just went to an authors conference and they're like, I make 6 figures a year, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Please never say that out loud to me
Please,
again.
please don't say that in my front. No, I think it takes time though, and I think that's where the tenacity thing comes in. No matter which direction you go, and to be honest, I did like another part of that determination for that publisher is the fact that they pay for stuff. Like they take part of the royalties, but they do that upfront stuff. They pay for the cover and the editor and all that kind of stuff that I didn't have to pay for out of my pocket. I homeschool my kids. I'm at home all the time. Our income is tight. I didn't have the upfront money to invest in it. So for me, it was worth them taking the royalties later to get the book off the ground now.
Yeah.
But that tenacity is so important because you have to start building up that backlog of books for people to find, continue to buy, for years down the line before you start making that 6-figure money.
Yeah. You mentioned that your story is darker, and that's one of the reasons that I like it because I like it rough. I mean, dark. I mean dark.
Yeah, I do. I like dark. I love darker books. I mean, I know a lot of the really successful Raylo authors are rom-com writers, and I don't have it in me. I like having those funny moments in between there, but I can't write a story that just is fluff completely all the way through. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know if it's just because I'm personally mentally broken or if I just like to cry. But I've always got to have that, you got to have that meatiness in there.
I love books that make me cry, that make me teary-eyed because I mean, I can chew through a rom-com and I can appreciate it for its stuff. Like I really like Allie Hazelwood's books. Like I really like them. They're great and they're very lighthearted and they've got this great snarkasm about them. But like would I ever read them again? Probably not because
Yeah.
it didn't make me feel like the characters like needed to have their story told.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give me a tormented main character at any time and like that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So tell us a little bit about your lead characters.
So Mia is a pastor's daughter, and she was adopted right out of the foster system when she was really young, and they are doing a program through her church where they are writing to prisoners at the local prison that don't get a lot of outside mail, kind of like as a like an outreach kind of program. And they are randomly assigned to their pen pal partners, and she writes a letter and it goes to Gabriel. And Gabriel is in prison for murdering his father when he was a teenager. And the way that things work in Texas is you get, especially back then, it was a mandatory life sentence, even for juvenile offenders. So he is in prison for life without the possibility of parole. He is extremely bitter because this wasn't a premeditated act of aggression, on his part. There was a lot of things happening for him where his life had gone horribly wrong, and this was in his perspective, this was an act of self-defense, right? And he's got a lot of anger about the events of his life that have landed him here, and he has given up all hope of anything ever getting better. and he hates everything that she represents. The idea of, having faith and hope in these things, he is not happy to hear from her at all. And they are able to forge a friendship, based on their respective tragic past that grows into something more, and she convinces him to try to, take on the justice system and get his lifetime sentence changed to something more lenient.
And I gotta say, as they get closer, and as the romance really starts to take off, and as little spice starts coming in, they have these phone calls, like over the prison system, and they're like, "We know someone is listening, but we just don't care." Like,
Right.
yeah, and I'm just like, oh my.
I enjoyed writing those parts. I think it's fun a little bit to kind of test those boundaries and see, if you were in that situation, how desperate would you be,
Pretty
to
desperate,
have
pretty
that kind of
goddamn desperate.
connection?
Yeah.
What with the kind of risks that you might be willing to take, and how steamy those letters and stuff and phone calls were getting. So I had fun with that part.
Yeah, and it was great to see him change throughout the book. And I was really glad that it like happened, gradually, and it all seemed to make sense. It wasn't like insta sunshine,
I
because
don't think he ever really reaches sunshine so much as it is he softens for her. I think he still has the weightiness to his personality, and the stuff that he's gone through never really does disappear. He just becomes less angry and defensive towards the world. He still has those moments of sadness and stuff that he has to work through. It doesn't, like you said, doesn't just click and everything is just suddenly magically better.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you're still writing now. Is there anything that's like in your mind that you're working on, like a next best thing or a...
I have one book that I owe to my publisher next year. I've sold 2 to them already, and then this that I've already written, and then this one I sold on proposal. It's a sequel to one that I just finished. And then I've got some other ones that are not, all the ones I've done that I've sold so far are contemporary, and I'm working on some that are in a different genre that I've started a few of and hasn't quite felt right, so I just started a new one a few weeks ago. But those ones I'm going to try again to get an agent. I'm kind of hoping I can kind of split the difference between the contemporary with a smaller publisher and then the other genre with hopefully a bigger publisher. That way I can put out
the genre? You can't keep me in suspense. What's the genre?
They are... some of them are like a darker romantic fantasy. Some of them are kind of like crossing the line between romance and horror. So
you're up my alley. Just let me subscribe to all your books. Let me just put me on the list.
I've started 3 of them now that I have to finish one. That's having trouble crossing the finish line on that one.
I appreciate people who can write multiple stories at the same time, because like I'm a serial monogamist. Like right now I owe myself a short story for my novel that just came out, because I'm going to put it in my super secret OnlyFans. No, not like secret area for fans on my website. Not OnlyFans. Let's just be very clear about that. So I owe myself and my new readers of this new book this little nice short story, but I'm already writing another book, and I'm like, I can't switch head space.
See, I'm almost exactly the opposite. When I published Deliver Me, I was like, now I'm an author. I have to be serious. I have to write one book at a time and go from beginning to end, and I cannot do that to save my life, because it's like I get bored with it and then I don't want to write anymore. So I have to have multiple things going so that I can wake up and be like, what excites me today, and do something that's exciting. Because if I don't, I will sit there and I will stare at a blank Word document for months and write nothing at all.
Are you a pantser?
No, I'm not. I always have an outline, and it's not like super in depth, but it's literally just a bullet point list of things that I want to happen in order. And then I break it down into chapters, and when it's time for that chapter, I go in and fill out the outline some more and then go down the list. Or sometimes I go up the list or in the middle. If I like a really challenging scene, I will write the last bullet point first and then go to the one above it and write backwards, so it's not so stressful.
I've done that when I got stuck once. I didn't know how to move forward, but I knew like an anchor scene. So I
right?
did the same thing. Like I wrote backwards. I'm like, how the hell how do
Yeah, how
we,
do I connect this? Yeah,
and
that's
I figured it out. I was really happy, but the
whatever
technique.
you have to do to get the words on the page. Like it does not matter.
Oh my gosh, yesterday I was struggling so much, like, because I knew I had to get words down, but I was like, my body was fighting it. Just like, no, no. And I was being super dramatic. But I decided to do that, if anyone is in Discord, they have this like functionality where you can sprint and it will track how many words per minute you can do. Now I'm competitive against myself.
Right.
Like if it's me and you, I don't care who wins. But like my goal is 40 words a minute. And if I don't hit 40 words a minute, I'm like, try again, try again, try again. So I'm like sitting there 15 minutes after 15 minutes, just like screwing with myself, just like harder, go harder. And then like I pumped out 3,500 words yesterday. Like,
I love the sprint function. Like almost all of my writing is done in sprints because I'm easily distracted. So I can't just sit there and do long chunks because yeah, I'm like I have to do this. But knowing that I have, a certain amount of time and then I can take a break keeps me from doing something else while I'm supposed to be doing that chunk. It's like I will reward myself with, a social media break or whatever at the end of that 15 minutes.
I always feel like it kicks me off. So I'll do like a couple, and then at that point, like I'm good to go. I'm in the right headspace. It's like I forced myself to get in the headspace, and now I'm there and I can go.
Sometimes that is the hardest part is just convincing yourself to sit down and start doing it.
I was talking to somebody, I started a writers group at my job, and we meet every 2 weeks. We give each other like prompts that we write 500-word short stories.
Right.
But I was talking with somebody who's one of the authors, and some of us are published, some of us aren't. And she's really working towards publication, but she was having that same problem, like just getting words down. And I used to write motivational seminars. So I had like this thing, like I took Nike, just do it. And
Right.
I put like an asshole twist on it, and I was like, shut up and do it. And
Yeah.
so like I told her, I was like, you can convince yourself of anything, that you need to do something else, that you don't know what to do, that you don't, and I was like, and I don't care about any of that. Just shut up and do it. Just shut
Do
up.
something.
I'm like,
Anything.
yeah, so just stop. Yeah, because it's kind of a jerk way to approach it. But that's my approach to life, is being cruel to myself. So
You have like some people respond really well to, nice, gentle, sweet encouragement, and I am not one of those people. Like I've always been motivated by outside pressure, which I think is why sprinting works so well for me. It's because there's a deadline. But I have to have that out. Like I really struggled when I went from writing fic to writing books for publishing is because I lost that feedback per chapter and feeling like, oh well, I have to do the chapter because there's literally people waiting for me to publish it.
yeah.
And I really struggled when I did not have that because like, well, where's my motivation to do it? I can do it today or tomorrow or next week and it doesn't matter. Like I have to have somebody breathing down my neck being like, you're gonna do this or what?
That when I publish fic, I publish a chapter a week. There was 1 week that I missed, and I apologized to everyone, but I told them why. My son had a brain tumor and we had to take him to the hospital, and it was really sudden. And like I was just like, sorry guys, I can't get another chapter out because my son has a brain tumor and I'm in the hospital. And they were like, dude, stop telling us. Like, why are you even on this app? Like, go have a life. Like, Jesus, like, stop. But I felt like,
when you're a people pleaser though, it's like the house is burning down around you and you're like, sorry, I can't come, I'm in the middle of experiencing a crisis.
yes,
But you
yes.
have to tell them because what if they're mad at you?
Oh my gosh, I see so many people online that are just like so mean to people. Like, are you ever updating this again? It's just like, dude, it's been 2 days.
Right? Like I literally just posted.
Just like, calm down. Go touch grass. I love that phrase. Go touch grass.
See, that's funny because I'm literally allergic to like freshly cut grass. So it's like, go touch grass. I'm like, I can't.
Don't touch grass.
I
Ashley,
can't
don't
touch the grass.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I will never say that phrase to you.
No, you can't. It's just funny.
I'll say go touch curtains.
Yeah, go touch something. Take a break.
Well, that's great. It gives you carte blanche. Like, what am I gonna touch today? Like, you could get a little interesting with it. Be like, today it's pasta noodles. I'm just sticking my hand right in there.
Right in there.
And we don't have to tell anyone. We'll just feed it to them after. Play piano in the pasta.
Yes.
So do you want to give us a little hint about something that you're writing next?
The thing that I just started is a lighthouse horror that I'm having a good time with. Like, I think this might actually be the one. I keep telling myself this is going to be the one that I'm actually going to finish. So this is going to be like, it's going to be set on an isolated little island where literally the only thing there is just this lighthouse and 3 people and some ghosts. Definitely, we're going to have some ghosts in this one. I'm going full paranormal creepiness with this. So
Nice. Nice. Of course, my head is like going in all directions now. I love prompts, right? So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to write a lighthouse horror, but just like, I'm just like, ooh, the possibilities are endless.
I do. I like prompts. Anything. I love anything that gets my creativity, going. Just start thinking about stuff. It's like, oh well, how could I fill that in?
Mm-hmm. My first book was based on a prompt. I was really sad because I wrote this really long fan fiction and it was ending. And I was telling one of my readers, I'm so depressed. I don't know what to do. And she was like, have you ever tried, writing from prompts? And she just gave me 3. And one of them was an Omegaverse prompt. And I was like, I love Omegaverse. I've never written Omegaverse. Can I write? Is this possible? Can I do? Well, God damn it. I'm just gonna do it. It was the most popular. I wrote it as a fan fiction first. It was a Raylo fan fiction, and it was the most popular thing I ever wrote. And it had so many hits and so many kudos that, like, when I had to take it down and I watched all my stats drop, it was so depressing. I was just like, dude, that just cut like everything in half. Like,
right.
Whew, everything dropped. So depressing.
No, but that end of book depression thing, that is a real thing. Like, I get sad every time I finish a book. I'm like, okay, it's time to be sad now. Like, I don't know what it is, because you'd think you would be happy because you have accomplished this huge task, and then you finish it. Instead of celebrating, you're in your bedroom crying for no reason.
You and I are simpatico. Like, that's like I curl up in a little ball and I'm just like, ah.
I don't know what it is.
I did a TikTok video. I was just like, I finished my book and I'm so sad. I love your TikTok, by the way. I love your TikTok. Like, you do things on your TikTok that I love. So let's tell everyone about the 1-star reviews.
Oh, see, I just started doing that one, but I'm having a really good time with this, right? This is fighting imposter syndrome through looking at other people's 1-star reviews, right? So we look at classics or the really, really popular books and look at all the people that hated those, so that when you start to get worried that somebody out there is not going to like your book, you can just embrace that. And somebody out there doesn't like every book. It's literally going to be fine. It doesn't matter if some people don't like it, because they are so harsh on even the most loved books. There is somebody out there that is seething with rage and hatred for that book, and it's just funny because they are so mad about how much hatred they have for these books, that everybody, like 3% 1-star reviews or something, and there is that one person who's like, the worst thing I've ever read in my life. It made me want to jump off the nearest bridge.
I think the one I saw you do, like, most recently was, like, I think it was The Scarlet Letter. And you were like, I also hated this book. This book also made me want to claw my eyes out. Like,
it really did. I had to read it in high school. And I was like, the story actually isn't all that bad if you can get past the writing style to understand what's happening.
The concept is good. The execution. Wait, your hand gesture was completely different than mine. I just saw something like this. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. When things are off camera, I have to make assumptions.
Yeah.
So we're about at time. Is there anything you'd like to let everybody who's watching know, either about your book, about you as a writer, or about writing in general? This is the open, surprising part of it, so no pressure.
Listen, the thing, and I always try to give this as writing advice to everybody, is everybody tells you that writing is a solitary activity. Don't let it be a solitary activity. You need writer friends. You need people who understand why you're having a breakdown at 3 a.m. because you can't figure out that one sentence that you've been fighting with for 3 weeks and don't think that you're crazy, right? You need somebody who understands, the pain of getting rejections or of, having all your dreams come true and seeing your cover and just crying instead of because you have too many. You need people that understand. You need people that you can go to when you're stuck. You need people to go to when you're sad. Find your favorite social media and find the writing community on that social media. Find people who write things that you enjoy and make friends with those people because you will need it. It's so challenging mental health wise. I think a lot more than people think that it is. The highs are super high, the lows are super low, and you just need somebody to go through all of that with. And your friends, your family, they love you, but they just don't get it. So that is my writer. Make this a team sport as much as you are able to do so.
I love it. That's the perfect thing to say. That's the perfect thing to say. All right. So on that note, everybody who's watching, if you check in the comments below, not the comments, what am I saying? The description below, I'm going to give you the social media platforms that Ashley is on. We'll give you a link to Deliver Me, and let's go ahead and you stay on with me, but let's say goodbye to everybody else. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Do I have to start singing songs to birds?